back at you, the king of solar screens. You know it, it's Randy. Hey, I've gotten a lot of questions lately. One of them was, how do you build an octagon? Well, first off, you have a better chance of beating the IRS out of a nickel than you can to get a good looking oval. So I'm not building an oval, but what I am going to build is an octagon. And obviously I'm joking, ovals are tough, but that's going to be for a different video. So what's an octagon? Well, it's basically a stop sign. And here I have one that's already been mocked up. The important thing is this. When you measure your octagon, please measure the legs, the outside portion, in multiple locations. In this case, this home has a 9-inch leg here with an overall height of 21 3/4, as well as width on all 8 sides. So that's how easy. Now, of course, we use a 1-inch frame. What is it you cut it at? 22.5 degrees to create an octagon, where normally when you create a square, it's a 45. Shop teacher over there is probably saying, that's right, because you know he was a 30-year shop teacher for Klein ISD here in Houston. So he knows all about angles and everything else, but 22.5 degrees, that's all you need. So I'm gonna cut that. Got a couple more over on this side. Come on over here, video man. Remember, I always urge you to get a tooth that's 90 or better for your saw. Preferably 100, 110 tooth, because the higher the tooth count, the cleaner and the smoother the cut. But I've got 2 more cuts. Remember, 22.5 degrees. As you always see in my videos, I always point the spline at me. This is a great way to get rid of some of your short pieces that you've gotten left over from 16-foot sticks. Now, instead of moving my jig back and forth, I set up my high-quality patent-pending block from my garden to make it as a little stopper, if you will, or a bridge. And that's right, remember, that's my patented design. Don't you try to steal that. Okay, so I've already measured exactly 9 inches. What I'm gonna do is flip it over. Now I end up with my 22.5 on both sides at the proper angle. I have 1 more to cut, then we'll go over to the bench. Oh yeah, let me specify, especially since Nolan's behind you, wear safety glasses when you're cutting, unless you don't want both your eyes, or maybe you think you'd look cute with a pirate patch. Arr, yeah, so, okay. So here we are. As you can see, we're going to easily put this octagon together. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to use some 3/4 inch frame. And again, this is a good thing to use when you have a little extra pieces. You only need about 1 inch. And what we're going to do is take our trusty rubber mallet, where the spline line is first, we're going to just tap that down, flatten it out a little bit. And basically all I'm doing is I'm creating a wedge or a pin that would slide into this. As you can see, it's perfect. And then of course slide into the other side as well. A little bit more there. So we're going to tuck that in there. Beautiful. And once I make that nice and tight, remember, 1/8 inch drill bit. And of course, I color coordinate all of my rivets. But again, as you hear me say in other videos, if you're down at the big store and they don't have a white or tan or whatever, just get the silver rivet. You can always take a Sharpie marker, whether it's white, tan, or black, or whatever. You've seen that in other movies. But here's what I'm going to do. I have that piece of aluminum inside, so I come in about 1/4 inch. My trusty rivet gun. Now I always rivet, as you see in other videos, from behind. And why do you do that? Well, rivets are theoretically a very cheap piece of metal that are just painted. And I've come by houses that are 5, 6, 7 years old, especially down here on the south, where we're in Houston. And those rivets have started rusting, and then you have that rust line running down the aluminum, and in some cases even running down that material. I don't like that, so I rivet from behind so that you will always see nothing but pure beauty. Those rivets are then squeezed back behind the window. Nobody will ever see it. So I won't bore you, but I'm going to cut 8 more of these. Again, about 1 inch long. Use your trusty bandsaw for that. And we're just going to pound those flat, use it as a rivet holder. So So I'm gonna have them push pause. We'll come back as soon as I finish that. All right, now we're back. I didn't want to bore you with all of them poundings. But again, about a 3/4 of an inch to an inch long. Make that nice and flat. Now what I also did is I put a few of the rivets together while we were on pause. That way we would make this beautiful. But all we're gonna do is, again, put it nice and tight. Hold your fingers on it. And just to tell you guys a funny story, the young man who's holding that camera, he learned why you never put your hand under something while you're drilling it. Because he had a little hole in his finger. So like Dad always told us, put a little dirt on it, son, and get back to work. And that's what we did. We put a little dirt on it. So here I am. I'm going to continue assembling this. And again, use your fingers to keep it tight. Nice tight corners. Really make that frame look gorgeous. Well, since we've got the idea of how we're riveting it, I'm going to go ahead and push pause again and come back to you just as soon as we finish assembling the whole thing. That way I don't bore you with just putting all these rivets in. Alright, so now we're back after I created all those rivets. That took about 15 minutes. That's the reason why we paused it, because building octagons is not a fast process. I'm just going to verify 21 3/4. We were right on the money. Now, even though these angles are very tight, I'm still going to build a crossbar here because I do not want to mess anything up. So I'm going to go ahead and pause you while we do that.
Go.
All right, I didn't want you guys to have to hear that loud saw blade. So again, I cut me a crossbar. Uh-oh, look what I did there. My goodness. Oh, yeah, baby. All right, so let's figure this one out. This one here happens to need 90% black. And depending on where you had to go, depends on what material you got. But remember, I am a proud distributor of Twitchell. I love my Twitchell, baby. Now I have a little scrap right here of a 90. As you've seen me do 100 times. And if you're doing this for, I don't know, part-time income or even full-time, I teach every one of my guys, when you have these scraps, especially something over 12 inches, 6 feet, 7 feet, save them. We'll roll them up, put a size on it so that when we have a window small, we can reuse that instead of tossing it. It'll really cut down on your overhead. So here we go. Should we go ahead and roll it? Oh, there it is. I got a little piece. All right. Now before I put the crossbar in, I always do 3 sides. Now this is fairly easy. Just like you see me all the time talk about splitting the fingers. And the reason behind splitting that finger is so that you have a good medium to put and keep everything nice and tight. Beautiful. And now for my final 4th side before I'm going to start using my handy dandy crossbar. You want a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful octagon. Beautiful. Whoops. I did change that around 1 second. I'm going to put it on this hole. There we go. So this is our pattern of making an octagon, everybody. While you're here, subscribe. YouTube said I could probably make some money, but I need a lot of subscribers. And I do enjoy making the videos, as I enjoy making screens. I've made it quite an art over the last 2 decades, or almost 2 decades. My goodness, 2004. Yeah.
Wow.
People ask me, why do you still do it? And I said, because I haven't won the Powerball yet. It's true, I haven't won the Powerball. I'd have shut this thing down years ago. No, I wouldn't do that. I got a good crew out here. So gotta make sure they're always got jobs. All right, so we have rolled our octagon. Let's go ahead and trim it up. Hey, nice sharp blade. I'll keep preaching it. There's no sense of sitting here sawing at it. These blades are only pennies. So just change your blade out. Keep it nice and sharp. And as you can see on my corners, all I'm doing is breaking off that little bit of thread. Not hurting anything. No scratches, no nothing. Of course, again, we know octagons are shaped like a stop sign. And what do solar screens do? They stop the heat from entering your home. And that is a gorgeous, beautiful thing. Look, got a little sweat on that. Ladies and gentlemen, a perfect octagon, 21 3/4. And again, rule of thumb, measure here, here, and here, as well as the overall height, width, as well as here. It should always be square, but every now and then you do have an octagon where maybe that side arm is an extra few inches, kind of giving it that stretch look. But that's it. Keep sending me your questions. I'll keep giving you the answers. And I love being on video, baby. You guys have a good one.